Chapter 161 Abandoned by Lu Jing? The two slept in separate rooms. Suro lay in bed, tossing and turning, feeling aggrieved. However, she couldn't contact him. Otherwise, if Fang Hao suddenly entered the room, she might accidentally hand over the evidence to him. He's deliberately provoking me, making me panic, making me reveal my flaws. Fang Hao, you're truly cunning. Thinking about this, Suro calmed down and went to the study. She saw Fang Hao printing some case studies, with titles mentioning amyotrophic lateral sclerosis and muscle atrophy, along with various professional-looking English documents. She hugged Fang Hao from behind and said, "Husband, let's not fight or be cold to each other. Come back to bed with me, okay?" "Sure." Fang Hao didn't want to argue either. He was conflicted now. This woman was pregnant, and he couldn't bring himself to seek revenge. However, if he revealed the evidence, she would be ruined. A woman who indulged in promiscuity on her wedding night with two different men had reached an unprecedented level of promiscuity. After printing, Fang Hao returned to the room with his wife. As they lay down, his wife clung to him like an octopus. "Do what you want or go to sleep." "Husband, do you want me to help you?" "That woman left me her number, that's true. You're pregnant, and if I can't control myself, I might really call her." "No calling. I'll help you," Suro said dominantly and then attended to Fang Hao. The next day, Fang Hao went to the hospital, did some routine tasks, and then went to the director's office. There, he saw a middle-aged man in a white coat and white shoes, with long hair, smoking. "Hey, little doctor, get me my brother-in-law's car keys." "You are? Are you blind? Have I met you before?" Fang Hao didn't expect this middle-aged man to be so arrogant. "My sister is Lu Jing, and my brother-in-law is Zhang Jun. Do you understand now? Give me the keys, it really concerns you." "Is that so?" "I can't decide on that. I listened to the director." Fang Hao was originally going to return the keys to Zhang Jun, but the latter didn't want them. He kept them, but Fang Hao didn't intend to keep them for himself. "It's not your business. My sister went to a meeting." The man took out his phone, also with a white case, dialed a number, and handed it to Fang Hao, saying, "My sister wants to talk to you." Fang Hao took it and heard Lu Jing's voice. He said, "Director, I'm here, give me your orders. Give the car to Lu Jing first. He'll return it in a couple of days." "Okay, no problem." Fang Hao returned the phone to the man and went to the parking lot with him. He took the medicine box from the car. Since there were no personal items of his in the car, the handover was quick. "Little doctor, remember your identity. This car isn't something you can afford." After saying this, Lu Jing left arrogantly. "Why pretend to be superior? In my eyes, you're just a weirdo." Fang Hao was very displeased with Lu Jing's words. What did he mean by, "someone like you"? Did that mean I'm inferior? Alright, I'm just a small doctor. Being inferior is being inferior. Fang Hao laughed at himself. He took the medicine box back to the dormitory. As soon as he came out, he received a call from Lu Yu, asking him to come to the gynecology department. Going to gynecology again? "Director, are there difficult patients again?" "No, you go there and familiarize yourself." "Oh, I forgot to tell you, I've convinced Lu Jing. She agreed to let you go to gynecology. I'm going to find the dean now. After she finishes the meeting, I'll get you a position as an associate director of gynecology." I don't know. "Director Lu, are you joking with me?" "I'm serious. If you don't believe me, you can go talk to Lu Jing." "Fang Hao, you're wasting your time in the outpatient department. Join gynecology as an associate director, it's a better future. I've eaten more salt than Lu Jing has eaten rice. Trust me. Give me some time, I need to digest this." Fang Hao hung up the phone, feeling very uncomfortable. Had Lu Jing given up on him? Handing over the car to that so-called artistic person, was that abandoning him? Zhang Jun could leave the sanatorium in the next 2 days, and once he was healed, Fang Hao would no longer be useful? Damn, is this world so realistic? "Lu Jing, you shouldn't be that kind of person. Fine, being an associate director is better than doing odd jobs. Let's make the change." In the past month or two, from the inpatient department to the outpatient department, the 4 hall, and even the dental department, although he didn't go to the dental department, he was personally arranged by Zhou Long. Now back to the outpatient department, and finally to gynecology, this hospital's positions. This is indeed a robust hospital, and I'm just passing through. He looked up at the sign of the People's Hospital and thought, is this really not the place for me to stay for a long time? Jiangdong rice is expensive, and living here is not easy. He smoked on the side of the playground, puffing on 2 cigarettes in a row. Then he received a call from the dean's office. It was the dean who called him, asking him to come over. Is Liu really getting things done with the dean? Fang Hao felt a bit speechless. With conflicting and uneasy feelings, he knocked on the dean's office door. Entering the room, he saw the dean, Lu Yu, Li Xiaoxi, and Lu Jing all present. The 4 female leaders, it's like playing mahjong with them. Fang Hao said, Dean, did you summon me for something? I've been behaving myself these days, haven't made any mistakes. Lu Jing said, you're not wrong, don't worry. Lu Yu said, Fang Hao, this is good news. The dean wants to appoint you as the deputy director of the gynecology department. Come and sign. Lu Jing added, go ahead and sign. Yang Wenjin said, what's the hurry for both of you? I, as the dean, haven't spoken yet. Well, you've all said what you wanted to say. Fang Hao, come and sign. After that, you'll be the deputy director of the gynecology department. But you need to change some of your bad habits, especially smoking. Fang Hao hesitated, glancing at Li Xiaoxi, and said, Dean, I don't have the qualifications for this. Of course, I've considered your abilities. This is a temporary deputy director position, and you have a 3-month probationary period. If it doesn't work out, we'll remove you. After signing, I'll retract the punishment you received in the inpatient department. The dean said, feeling conflicted. Fang Hao's excellence was evident, but he was also the son-in-law of her rival, Zhou Fen, which made him a thorn in her side. After Fang Hao signed, the dean said, your face is more delicate than most women. When you go to gynecology, pay attention to your personal conduct and behavior. Don't stir up any rumors. Lu Yu added, Fang Hao is Zhou's son-in-law. If he messes up, I'll tell Zhou, and he'll be in big trouble when he goes back. Seeing that Fang Hao had also signed, Lu Yu said, Old Yang, I won't disturb your work anymore. I'll take Fang Hao back to get familiar with the working environment. Lu Jing said, hold on, I haven't handed over with Fang Hao yet. Let's go to my clinic first, complete the handover, and then I'll release him to you. Fang Hao, come with me. She led Fang Hao out. In the elevator, she looked at Fang Hao and asked, what's wrong? Reluctant? Did someone owe you money? Chapter 162, Priority for Interests. Seeing that there were only 2 people in the elevator, Fang Hao directly said, Director, why did you leave me out? I still wanted to work in the outpatient department under your leadership. Lu Jing was moved and told Fang Hao not to worry. After returning to the office, she explained, Fang Hao, sending you to the gynecology department doesn't mean I'm abandoning you. I still need your help. However, I feel that I shouldn't be too selfish. In a calm tone, she continued, in terms of personnel matters, I'm not as good as my aunt. She understands how to cultivate you better. Besides, they are short-staffed over there. But I don't want to go to gynecology. I'm not good at dealing with gynecological issues. No, you are actually good at it. Look, you handled the inpatient department well, the outpatient department is also well organized, and you shine in surgical procedures. You also have knowledge in traditional Chinese medicine. Right now, you have the medical skills, but what you lack is a platform. In my outpatient department, I can only give you the title of attending physician for now, and the title of associate chief physician will have to wait until next year or the year after. But it's different in gynecology, they lack people and technical backbone. So, you can become the deputy director of the department, responsible for medical affairs along with my aunt. Since my aunt has returned from reemployment, her energy is limited, and many things will have to be done by you. Working with me, you're just doing odd jobs, but in gynecology, you'll be the deputy director, a crucial figure. It's temporary because you're still an attending physician. After working in gynecology for 3 or 4 months, you can be promoted to associate chief physician during the Chinese New Year. Then, you can remove the temporary tag from the department, and you'll be a true associate chief physician. If you're not a fool, you should know how to choose, right? Director, I am a fool. I just like working under your leadership. Fang Hao knew that he should choose gynecology, after all, it was the position of the department's deputy director. However, emotionally, he felt the need to cling tightly to Lu Jing's thighs, especially since Lu Jing would become the deputy dean in the future. Gynecology was too dirty and exhausting. He also had a concern. If he got promoted and then divorced his wife, would people who didn't know the situation see him as an ungrateful person? Then he would have to explain that he was cuckolded and had no choice but to divorce. But how could he explain that? What if there were radical feminists in the gynecology department? In any case, he had to weigh everything carefully. Lu Jing was moved but chuckled. What? Did you really think that by going to gynecology, you're no longer my soldier, and you can ignore my affairs? If I can be promoted to deputy dean, I still need to publish some articles. I'll need you for that. Zhang Ji's matters are not finished. He's currently in a balanced state of recovery, with the possibility of a complete recovery or deterioration. He still needs you to continue following up. I think you also know Zhang Ji's biggest wish. He needs a child. In this regard, he also needs your persuasion. I'm different from your master. He's gone to Xia Hospital now, which is inconvenient for him to boss you around. But I'm different. You said you're my person, so do you really think it's only for this month, and it won't be true later? Okay, I am the director's person. I'll be the director's ghost even in death. You talk too much. Go do your work. At 11, we'll go to Niguang together and have lunch with Zhang Ge. Yes, ma'am. Fang Hao organized his materials and then took them to the gynecology department. Lu Yu didn't provide Fang Hao with a dedicated office but arranged for him to share one with her. This was because her office was originally designated for the deputy director, and since she was rehired, she wasn't officially a deputy director. Due to the aftermath of the stillborn incident, the gynecology department needed Lu Yu to continue overseeing it for a smooth transition to the next department head. Lu Yu had someone notify the main doctors and nurses in the department that they should gather in half an hour to meet and announce Fang Hao's arrival. During this time, Fang Hao went to Li Xiaoxi's office. Why are you here? Li Xiaoxi asked directly, her tone a bit unfriendly. Fang Hao said, Director Li, I'm here to apologize to you. Last time, it was my master, Su Yucheng, who caused the trouble. I didn't do anything. In the end, due to his contributions, he was promoted to associate chief physician. I was transferred from the inpatient department and was about to be transferred to the ophthalmology department. You see, I'm just a pawn, a weak one, a member of the disadvantaged group among the disadvantaged groups. Director Li, please forgive the insignificant me. He first showed a bit of weakness. Oh, Director Fang, why do you say that? You are the honorable envoy of our gynecology department. Please don't say that. I'm just a pawn, a greenhorn. Enough, don't talk about those useless things. My next step is to go to the maternity and child health hospital. I won't be in charge of medical matters during this time, I'll handle administrative transitions. Maternity and child health hospital? Oh, I heard Director Lu mention it. Congratulations in advance on Director Li's promotion. Fang Hao bowed and expressed his congratulations. He had heard Lu Yu mention before that Li Xiaoxi would be promoted to associate dean at the maternity and child health hospital, and at that time, he found it unbelievable. Now, hearing it directly from Li Xiaoxi, it seemed to be true. He could only sigh at Li Xiaoxi's powerful background. This time, coming to ease the relationship by pretending to be pitiful seemed to have unintentionally hit the mark. Fang Hao, don't learn from your master. He doesn't know how to behave. Yes. I'll listen to Director Li. If there's nothing else, I won't disturb you, Director. Fang Hao exited. Bootlicker. Li Xiaoxi's lips curled into a smile. Fang Hao's act of showing weakness made her feel pleased. Fang Hao was just a small character, and previously, she could suppress him. Now, as the deputy director of the gynecology department responsible for medical affairs, he held significant power. Moreover, Fang Hao's medical skills seemed to be better than hers, judging from what she knew. Fang Hao was over 10 years younger than her, yet he had such impressive medical skills, and his future seemed limitless. She couldn't suppress the potential future authority in the medical field, so making peace with him was the best outcome. On Lu Yu's side, banners were made to announce Fang Hao's arrival at the gynecology department, and he was assigned the first clinic. Lu Yu, considering the avoidance of suspicion and potential harassment issues, arranged for the most capable head nurse to accompany Fang Hao. Whenever Fang Hao entered the clinic, the head nurse would follow, ensuring that there was no chance for him to be alone with female patients. People in the gynecology department who knew Fang Hao, aside from the incident in the inpatient department that led to disciplinary actions, also remembered when Su Yucheng caused a scene in the gynecology department. In the end, Fang Hao mediated between him and the patient, even getting kicked by the patient. Now, seeing Fang Hao, who was still quite young, getting disciplined and then swiftly promoted to the temporary deputy director of the department, sparked admiration. Furthermore, Fang Hao's handsome face stirred jealousy among the married women in the department and captivated the unmarried ones. Next, Fang Hao familiarized himself with the situation in the gynecology department comprehensively. After all, this was going to be his battlefield, and even though it was temporary, he wouldn't be changing positions anytime soon. Chapter 163, A Good Match. Noon. Fang Hao and Lu Jing arrived at the recuperation center. Fang Hao conducted the final examination for Zhang Jun, who would be leaving the center in the afternoon. Brother, now that you're in the gynecology department, you'll have countless opportunities to interact with women. In theory, it's a lot of perks, but it might not be a good thing. Those, after seeing too many, you might lose interest in women altogether. Zhang Jun knew that Fang Hao had been transferred to the gynecology department as the deputy director, and he couldn't help but worry. Because women who came to seek medical treatment usually had problems. Healthy and beautiful women might evoke appreciation and desire, but those with health issues tended to have the opposite effect. There's no way. I have to comply with the organization's arrangements for the assigned position. As a person of little influence, I can only obey the organization's arrangements. Fang Hao wasn't worried. Patients were still patients, and he wasn't interested in women at the moment. Even Su Ro, such a beautiful woman, betrayed him, lured and manipulated by others, to the point of corruption. If such a beautiful woman could be swayed, then other women would be even easier to tempt. If he had such preferences, his future perks wouldn't be any less. Of course, this also indicated that sometimes women could be foolish. Women like Sun Sini, master's wife, the class flower, and the head nurse of the outpatient department had all cheated on their partners, making him lose confidence in women. Women couldn't compare to a career. With a career, someone like Zhang Jun, who owned 500 properties, could have women like Lu Jing and his younger sister, and these women would be loyal to Zhang Jun. Fang Hao thought about it. Although he had the most beautiful woman in Jiangdong City as his wife, she didn't love him. In contrast, marrying an ordinary woman who loved and cared for him might be better. In terms of women, he considered himself a failure. Zhang Jun didn't notice Fang Hao's thoughts. He said, "But, brother, I truly admire you. You're skilled in surgery, well-versed in traditional Chinese medicine, and now proficient in gynecology. There's nothing you can't do." "Zhang Ji, you're exaggerating. I just don't know how to make money." "Haha, that's true. In terms of making money, I might be a bit better than you." Zhang Jun was happy. He and Fang Hao headed towards the restaurant and entered a private room. In the private room, aside from Lu Jing, there were several leaders from the recuperation center. This was the first time Fang Hao had seen the leaders here. He knew it was because of Zhang Jun's influence. Without Zhang Jun's face, he wouldn't have had the opportunity to enter the circle. Zhang Jun's identity was not only about having 500 properties but also about the Zhang family and other social connections. Fang Hao could sense that these leaders from the recuperation center didn't really respect him. It was like a visiting monk chanting scriptures in someone else's temple, taking up their space. Without Zhang Jun's prestige, he wouldn't have had the chance to enter the circle. Given this, Fang Hao didn't try to flatter them but maintained a polite demeanor. The director and Fang Hao toasted each other. He smiled and asked, "I wonder, Dr. Fang, what are your plans for the future? Would you like to work here?" Fang Hao knew this was a test. He replied, "Thank you for the director's kind offer. I don't plan to leave the Provincial People's Hospital. I've only come here occasionally during this period. If I've caused any inconvenience to the director and other colleagues, I apologize." In fact, Fang Hao wasn't fond of this place, especially because his wife and lover had secret rendezvous here. Where could that be? "Dr. Fang, you've helped us a lot." Seeing that Fang Hao was not particularly assertive, the director felt somewhat reassured. After dinner, Lu Jing and Fang Hao returned home. Lu Jing asked, "Don't you like dealing with those people? Is she paying attention to me?" "Zhang Jun has been treated almost completely, and he doesn't need my daily treatment. My value has greatly diminished, but if she wants to become the deputy dean, maybe I can still be of some help. I still have value to her." Fang Hao said, "I'm not from the recuperation center, but I came here to treat Zhang Gu and others. Isn't that taking away their business?" Previously, I wanted to check some patient records, but they didn't allow it. Although there's a suspicion of leaking confidential information, I can still see that they don't welcome outsiders. Lu Jing said, that's true. There are doctors here too. Fang Hao, don't be discouraged. Once you make a name for yourself, people will accept you. Making a name for myself is difficult. Fang Hao sighed. The social class is so rigid, and for someone from the lower class to climb up, they have to put in a tremendous effort. Moreover, the margin for error is almost zero. She continued, you're the son-in-law of the Su family, you can also use Su family resources. Actually, the conflict between Yang Wenjin and your mother-in-law is an old story. She has some grudge against you and can only do some small tricks. If you take the initiative to reveal this relationship, she might actually value you. After all, she's more familiar with you, and she shouldn't act petty. Fang Hao said, but maybe she is petty. After all, she and my mother-in-law are both strong-willed women. They target each other, and who can guarantee who is more rational? But now, I am Director Yu's person. I am your soldier. If you ask me to go east, I won't go west. I find you quite talkative. Was it like this when you pursued your wife back then? Lu Jing smiled, her face slightly flushed, but she was in a good mood. That's not the case. I was foolish back then. She gave me a bit of sweetness, and I went to register with her. Fang Hao smiled awkwardly. In his heart, he was bleeding. When he met Su Ro, he was taken for a fool, deceived for 4 years, and betrayed for 4 years. That woman was a big liar. He didn't want to talk about Su Ro, so he quickly asked, we're not as innocent as you guys back then. It was better in your generation. The sky was blue, the air was clear, and everything was natural. In that poor and backward era, there was no material life. Unlike the current flashy society. However, if we talk about what was truly commendable, it would be the relationships between people. They were not as materialistic and fake as they are now. In terms of emotions, there are more choices nowadays. As Lu Jing spoke, the air suddenly became quiet. Fang Hao said, Director, I have a question. You and my master didn't end up together. Do you regret it now? Lu Jing didn't speak. Fang Hao continued, it seems like you're not happy for my master. He's living well now, with a wife and children, carefree. What grievances does he still have? After thinking for a while, Fang Hao gritted his teeth and said, perhaps my master and master's wife aren't truly in love. My master still has you in his heart, but master's wife, she betrayed my master. What? What did you say? Wang Qingxiang betrayed Su Yucheng? You can't spread such words casually. Wang Qingxiang is the name of master's wife. Unfortunately, I've seen it with my own eyes. I haven't told my master about this, and I don't dare to. Director, do you think I should say it or not? Stop talking about it. Pretend you didn't see these things. Whether Su Yucheng and Wang Qingxiang still have feelings now, they are both of a certain age, and having each other is already good. With Wang Qingxiang's experience and status, she can only act recklessly when she feels lonely. Su Yucheng is the same, his body was never that great to begin with, so he should take better care of Wang Qingxiang. His body was never that great? Could it be that the director and my master also had some forbidden fruit when they were young? Fang Hao smirked. Chapter 164, Impossible to make wedding clothes for others. Does a woman stop cheating once she's satisfied? Fang Hao felt that this proposition might not necessarily hold true. Whether a woman cheats or not doesn't necessarily depend on whether she's satisfied with her husband, because women can also experience emotional infidelity. Take Fang Hao himself, for example. He believed he could satisfy his wife, he could take her to the peak 3 times, and if she really needed it, he could do it twice a day, completely satisfying her. However, his wife still cheated and was completely lost in body and mind. This could only mean that his wife truly loved her lover. Even at this point, he hadn't divorced yet. Did he still have some fantasies? Fang Hao thought he probably did. He hoped his wife would turn back and stop cheating. But in reality, it was impossible. When he was at work, his wife would still let her lover come to their home. Even after the confrontation, his wife maintained contact with her lover. They even sent out someone like Yue Xia Huo, pretending to be Li Kuei, to confuse Fang Hao and try to make him give up the investigation. Fang Hao knew it would be difficult for his wife to come back. His master and master's wife were old, and what kept them together were more familial bonds than romantic love. There were also social interests involved. Therefore, they wouldn't divorce. But Fang Hao was still young, only 25 or 6, and he didn't have much of a career. If he didn't divorce after being betrayed, what future did he have? Once he identified the adulterer, he would formally divorce his wife. Back at the hospital, Fang Hao participated in an internal video consultation in the gynecology department. The daughter-in-law of a certain big shot in the city was at risk because the fetus's umbilical cord was entangled. However, since it wasn't yet the due date, the big shot's family didn't want an immediate delivery. They hoped to use medical means to untangle the fetus's umbilical cord. The maternity and child care department sought help from various major hospitals, including the Provincial People's Hospital. On the large screen of the video, Fang Hao saw the latest examination of the fetus, which showed the umbilical cord had been entangled around the neck for 3.5 weeks. For a fetus of less than 7 months, this was very dangerous. Fang Hao and others furrowed their brows. On the video, the representative of the big shot's family was also present. He directly pointed out that none of the other hospitals he inquired with had a solution. He became unhappy and slammed the table during the video call. He complained about investing so much in medical resources every year, yet they couldn't even solve this problem. They always talked about advanced medical technology. Was this what they meant by advancement? He complained a lot. The director of the maternity and child care department looked at Li Xiaoxi and said, "Director Li, your Provincial People's Hospital recently performed an impressive surgery. Do you have a solution?" The representative of the big shot's family just realized that he hadn't asked the Provincial People's Hospital. He said, "Right, your Provincial People's Hospital is one of our top 3 hospitals. Do you have a way?" Li Xiaoxi naturally couldn't do anything. She didn't dare to respond and looked at Lu Yu. Lu Yu also furrowed her brow. If she were still young, she would dare to attempt to correct the entanglement. However, she didn't have the strength for that now. Of course, in this situation, a cesarean section could easily solve the problem. It's just that it wasn't yet the due date. She looked at Fang Hao. Fang Hao nodded and whispered, "Bring the pregnant woman over. I can correct it." "This? How confident are you?" Lu Yu's eyes brightened, but she still asked cautiously. "If the pregnant woman cooperates, 100%. Fang Hao remained calm. Lu Yu nodded at Li Xiaoxi, who was also surprised. She didn't expect Fang Hao to be so bold and agree to take on the task. Li Xiaoxi didn't directly claim that she could do it. Instead, she played it diplomatically, saying, "We have a new director here, and he mentioned that he can manually correct and untangle the cord with a success rate of 100%. "Who? Is it Director Lu Yu?" "They said it's a new director. It can't be Director Lu Yu." "Where is the new director from? Why haven't we heard about it?" "Manual untangling? Is this a new area of research?" Almost all the screens turned to Li Xiaoxi with surprise. The representative of the big shot's family asked, "Who?" "Have her come to the maternity and child care department immediately." Fang Hao was concerned that Li Xiaoxi might agree directly. Since Li Xiaoxi was going to be the vice director of the maternity and child care department, if she brought him over to solve the entanglement, the credit would go to Li Xiaoxi. So he said, "It's not something that can be done in a short time, and I don't have the time to go over there right now. Let them transfer the pregnant woman here, it's more convenient." Lu Yu nodded and said, "Let them transfer here. Make them believe in our Provincial People's Hospital. If the maternity and child care department can't solve Tang Wan's problem, but we can, it will boost their confidence in our hospital." This statement essentially cut off Li Xiaoxi's idea of seeking credit. She could only open the microphone and say, "We discussed it. It's better to transfer the patient to our Provincial People's Hospital for treatment. Because Director Fang is busy here and can't go immediately." The family representative said, "What's so busy? I'll send someone to pick up Director Fang." Li Xiaoxi hurriedly reassured, "All right, we'll arrange Director Fang's work, and then I'll send him over." She turned off the microphone and said to Fang Hao, "Arrange your current work, we'll go over immediately." Lu Yu frowned. If Li Xiaoxi wasn't about to become the vice director of the maternity and child care department, it could be understood as Li Xiaoxi actively cooperating with her colleagues to treat patients. But now it was different. Li Xiaoxi was going to the maternity and child care department, so she naturally became more active there. If Fang Hao solved the patient's problem this time, it would set an example for Provincial People's Hospital and establish authority for Fang Hao. For Fang Hao, this would be a great achievement. But if Li Xiaoxi took Fang Hao over, the credit would go to Li Xiaoxi and the maternity and child care department. It would also involve Provincial People's Hospital, and Fang Hao would get little credit. Fang Hao directly said, "Director Li, this is not appropriate. Let them transfer the patient to another hospital. The difficulty of this case is not high, and the consultation can end here." After saying that, he got up and left. He had just taken office, and if something went wrong, Liu would handle it. Moreover, Yang Wenjin wouldn't immediately fire him. At the very least, he would need to find another reason. Otherwise, changing the decision so suddenly would make Provincial People's Hospital a laughingstock. Given this situation, was there still a need to give face to Li Xiaoxi? The last bit of face was for resolving the previous misunderstanding, so as not to be awkward during their limited time working together in the future. But it didn't mean she could arbitrarily assign his tasks. Moreover, Li Xiaoxi was now in the process of transitioning to a new job. She was no longer considered part of Provincial People's Hospital. Liu also nodded in agreement, saying, "Yes, let them transfer the patient. In medical matters, Director Fang has the final say." Li Xiaoxi directly said, "No, I just spoke up. I said I would bring Fang Hao over, and the patient's family also said they would arrange for someone to bring Fang Hao over. By doing this, aren't you making it difficult for me?" "Making it difficult? Who told you to agree to seek credit and put on a show? Thinking you can take credit and add luster to your face, do you think I will indulge you?" Fang Hao ignored her and continued to leave. Chapter 165, Not Giving Face. Slap. Li Xiaoxi came to Fang Hao's desk, slammed her hand on it, and glared at Fang Hao, saying, "Fang Hao, what do you mean by this? Are you playing tricks on me? Director Li, why are you so angry? If there's something, let's talk about it calmly. No need to get so worked up. I haven't done anything to you." Fang Hao smirked, revealing a few teeth, even more professional than Konggu. "Don't play the fool with me. Now, pack your things and come with me immediately." "Go where?" "Maternity and child care." "For what?" "No need for nonsense. Untangle the umbilical cord for that pregnant woman." "Are you doing it, or am I?" "Naturally, you're doing it. You said you could. I'll do it then, and you should listen to me." "You?" "Director Li, calm down. The medical work in the Provincial People's Hospital's Obstetrics and Gynecology Department is under my responsibility now. You should be happy. Go become the deputy director after the new year. Director Li, if there's nothing else, please go." Fang Hao made a gesture of invitation and then wrote a prescription on a medical record. "Fang Hao, I didn't expect you to play dirty with me. I'll remember this." Li Xiaoxi left angrily. Fang Hao tilted his mouth, thinking, what a hypocrite. He saw Liu coming in and asked, Liu, Li just now was so angry. "Do you think she will cause trouble for me at work? If she's angry, that's her business. Don't listen to her. Cause trouble at work? Does she want to ruin her career in this field? She already has 2 questionable cases at Provincial People's Hospital. I've just suppressed them, but it doesn't mean they don't exist. Do you understand?" Liu took a sip of tea and said, "Speaking of which, if that pregnant woman really transfers here, and if we can't correct it, we might be in trouble." "Don't worry, I'm confident." Fang Hao glanced at the time and said, "I'll go see Tang Wan, she called me this morning." "Go ahead." Fang Hao arrived at the single room on the inpatient floor and was about to enter Tang Wan's ward. "Dr. Fang, please wait a moment. Miss is breastfeeding right now." At the door, a middle-aged woman stopped Fang Hao. She thought it was inappropriate for a male doctor to enter while a woman was breastfeeding. "Oh, no problem." Fang Hao waited for Tang Wan to finish breastfeeding before entering. He saw a nanny inside holding the child upright. Fang Hao asked her to lay the child down a bit, or the baby might spit up easily. As soon as he said that, the baby indeed spat up a little. Tang Wan sighed, "Dr. Fang. Oh, I should call you Director Fang now. I didn't expect you to be better at taking care of babies than us women." Fang Hao said, "I've been a stay-at-home dad for 4 years. I learned from making mistakes." He examined Tang Wan's chest, back, and the abdominal incision, which had healed well. Then he checked Tang Wan's pulse and meridians. Everything was smooth. He said, "You're recovering well. Keep it up, and you'll be able to leave the hospital for recuperation soon." Tang Wan sincerely said, "Director Fang, thank you. Without you, either my mother or I would have had to leave." "No need to thank me. I'm a doctor, it's my job." Fang Hao didn't seek credit and was about to leave. Tang Wan asked again, "Director Fang, can we talk for a bit? How is my grandfather's situation?" I've seen him, informed him of the situation, and provided him with a plan. He's in the process of seeking approval and considering it from various angles before making a decision. Fang Hao was not optimistic. The old man had connections in the medical field due to his listed company. He would definitely consult with people before making a decision. Fang Hao glanced at the ward and said, "Miss Tang, may I ask where your husband is? Shouldn't he be here to accompany you? Don't mention that jerk. While I was pregnant, he found someone new. My younger brother found out and gave him a beating. He hasn't dared to come in front of me since." Tang Wan said, "Director Fang, sorry for bothering you with these personal matters." Fang Hao felt bitter in his heart. Why did he encounter so many cases of infidelity when his own wife had an affair? He said, "Miss Tang, you're very strong. I have outpatient duties downstairs. I won't disturb your rest. If you have any issues, contact me again." He bid farewell first. Arriving at the outpatient office, Fang Hao saw a middle-aged woman inside. Lu Yu arranged the first clinic for Fang Hao, not for routine cases like menstrual cramps, irregular periods, or prenatal checks. Instead, she lined up some challenging and critical cases for Fang Hao. After all, good steel needs to be used on the edge of the knife. This patient had been examined by another doctor and was suspected of having breast cancer, but it couldn't be confirmed, so they needed Fang Hao. After looking at the x-rays and taking the pulse, Fang Hao said, "There's a slight breast hyperplasia, no cancer, so no need to worry. Take some medication for conditioning, rest on time, and you'll be fine. You should pay more attention to the cause of the breast hyperplasia. Your spleen is weak. Take care of your home or work environment, and don't let your lower back get cold." "What do you do, ma'am?" The middle-aged woman said, I teach dancing." "Dancing? Pole dancing?" Fang Hao's heart moved. Looking at the heavy makeup on the woman's face and the distinct cultural charm in her features, he asked, "Regardless of work needs or personal hobbies, you need to take care of your body. I'll prescribe some medication for you to take. There are both Western and Chinese medicine options. Western medicine is more convenient, so let's not dwell on that. But for Chinese medicine, can you brew it yourself? If not, I'll give you the prescription, and you can get it from an outside pharmacy. Let them brew it for you." "Is Chinese medicine expensive?" "Not expensive. They are common medicines. If prescribed in the hospital, it's around 30 yuan per prescription. If you go to an outside pharmacy, it should be about the same. Take one prescription for 3 days, 3 prescriptions in total." "Thank you, Director Fang." The middle-aged woman thanked him. The head nurse said, "Director Fang, you really consider the patients. She must be earning quite a bit teaching dancing." Fang Hao said, "She's a pole dancer working in entertainment venues." "Oh, Director Fang, how did you figure that out?" "There are many details. There are a lot of traces of makeup on her face, but they aren't high-end products. There are also some occupational traces on her hands. Of course, I'm just speculating." Fang Hao actually had another piece of evidence he didn't mention. This woman had a history of multiple miscarriages, showing signs of a tumultuous life. People have their struggles, there's no need to expose everything. "Director Fang, you're really amazing." The head nurse admired Fang Hao and said, "Director Fang, are you from a medical family? How do you know so much?" "I come from a rural area. I just like studying medicine and wanted to become a doctor, so I learned a lot. Actually, I found that I might have taken the wrong path. I could have relied on my looks to make a living. Unexpectedly, I have to rely on talent." Fang Hao joked, "Any more patients? Let's move on to the next one." "You're really humorous, Director." The head nurse only now noticed that Fang Hao was extremely handsome.